Hello everyone, I'm Sam Rikard with DeSotoCountyNewsroom.com, and we're here to introduce a new show today called Mayor to Mayor, and our first guest, of course, is the Mayor of Olive Branch, Ken Adams. Good morning, Mayor Adams. Good to have you here today.
Good morning, Weather Mayor Sam Rikard. It's great to be here, and good morning to all as well.
You know, I look back over your career, and you spent many years at FedEx, and then an almost equal amount of years as a Justice Court judge, and now you recently elected Mayor of Olive Branch. What drove you to become involved in public service?
Good question, Sam. Absolutely good question. Really the people. I just love interacting with people. My job in the corporate arena as well as in the court system was dealing with people on a daily basis, and I have a passion for that, and I have a passion for this Olive Branch community, and I want to do my very best to make it as strong as we can for this generation and the next generation as well.
You know, of course, you've been in office now 2 months approximately, and just completed your first budget cycle, which is always, as I recall, always an exciting time. You know, it's exciting to get that budget adopted.
Amen.
And then you move on, and then you try to implement some of those plans. Could you just talk about maybe some highlights that appear in this budget?
You bet. The budget process, regardless to whether it's the corporate world, the courtroom, or the city, is really always a grueling process. I jokingly say it's almost like a poking eye with a sharp stick, but it is a necessary evil because we've got to be good stewards of our money that we manage. We had department heads involved in our budget planning. We had the Board of Aldermen involved in the budget planning, and we sat down at the table and went through several different versions of the budget, and it was a lengthy process, but it was a rewarding process once we finished. We're looking at a city arguably 5th or 6th largest in the state, and we're looking at a budget of around $111 million to operate. And very candidly, approximately 20% or thereabout of that new budget was designed to serve the citizens in the new annexed area. So staffing's been added, equipment's been added, et cetera, in order to meet those needs. So we were very pleased with it. We were very pleased to report that over $6 million is dedicated to an overlay project for roadways. That's the largest paving or repaving project in the history of this city, and we know it's needed. It's not going to take care of everything, and it's going to take a while to do it because it just takes a while to repave roads, but we're excited that we were able to do that. We're excited that we were able to give our boots on the ground, our law enforcement officers, a sizable raise because we need to be able to attract law enforcement professionals in today's environment, which is not always an easy task. Our other employees received cost of living adjustment as well, which is the first time they had received one in 2.5 years, so we were excited about that. Some more monies were dedicated to law enforcement simply because we have positions to fill, and it's a very difficult market to fill right now, but we were excited about that. We're excited about taking care of all the employees, and again, the roadways and the annexed area. It's a large ship, so to speak, 650 some odd employees when you look at full-time, part-time, and seasonal, so it takes a certain amount of dollars to run that operation, but again, we feel like we've been good stewards and we're going to manage the money appropriately and serve the citizens with it.
I know it appears that you're in a similar situation that I was in 1997 because we had just recently annexed that doubled the size of the city then, which was about 17 additional square miles, and I think this recent annexation is a similar size annexation there. Providing services to those areas is a time-consuming issue and very expensive, but I know you have plans to meet those obligations that the city, made during that court process.
You're right. We were absolutely going to make those. We have a 5-year rollout plan in order to meet all the commitments that we committed, or the city committed to Chancellor Lynchard, and some of those things he directed us to do by way of his order, so we will absolutely meet those guidelines just as you guys did back in the 90s. But very good point, Sam, on the 90s, because that phenomenal growth that you were experiencing back then, 7 families a day moving into Olive Branch, et cetera, due to that, that's some of our infrastructure opportunities today.
Yeah.
When pipes, sewer, water, et cetera, were put in 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when the boom happened, those pipes and that infrastructure is all aging at the same time. So we have to go back and do some of the cleanup, which yields sometimes leaky water meters or streets that have to be torn up to deal with water pipe. So we're in the process of upgrading that as we go along. But that's what happens during the boom years, and we're glad those boom years happened, without a doubt. Thank you very much. We're glad they happened, but at the same time, we have some opportunities to bring some of that equipment and some of that infrastructure up to standards today. And the same thing will happen with our growth that's happening now. Be it 20 years from now, whoever's sitting in this chair as mayor will probably be saying some of the same things, because as your equipment ages, then you have to replace that equipment at some point.
And your utility system enhancements not only include the newly annexed area. I know you're looking at a project that you have some federal dollars to assist with in the heart of Olive Branch, where some of those sewer lines, I understand, were probably put in the 1930s or 1940s.
That's right.
And also the people in the old part of town can expect some of the similar type of construction activity over the next year or so.
Yep, that's exactly right. And those dollars came from the Corps of Engineers, approximately $1.2 million. And as I have learned from being in the mayor role, even only 60 days at this point or thereabout, where your sewer goes and where your water goes in parts of your city, that's where your development goes. Yep. And also areas like Old Town, we're looking for a resurgence in Old Town. We're looking for some positive things that are happening there. But you're right, the sewer project and the water project is one of those to bring this older area up to standards as well.
Since you mentioned Old Town, let's talk about, if you can, what the vision is or the plan is for the Cotton Gin area, and maybe that corner near Starbucks where we've seen all the dirt work moved over the last, through the winter months and all. Can you speak to any of those things? And maybe the Cascades
right,
also.
Cascades. I have a lengthy list, and
okay.
I'd like to go through. And you're spot on as far as the Cotton Gin. The developer has not submitted his final plans at this point, but we understand that the Cotton Gin will be restaurants. We understand it'll be some housing, and it'll be a live, work, play type community is what the developer intends to do there. We're very excited about it. We think it'll bring about some changes in Old Town, and we think it'll bring some opportunities for dining and entertainment to where our citizens will not have to leave Olive Branch to go to different areas. So we're very excited about it. And at this time, some of the demolition inside the old Cotton Gin is taking place, so the developer will know the bones of the structure and what the developer needs to do to bring that to fruition. But we're waiting on the final plans for that. And you mentioned Cascades. There is actually a groundbreaking this Wednesday at Cascades development, which is Highway 305 and Fulmer Street, just south of 78, but also north of Church Road. Mm-hmm. And that development is very large. It's 84 acres. It's planned to be a town center concept. And if it comes to fruition, which I wish the developers the very best, then it'll be a game changer for Olive Branch. We're talking 400,000 square foot of commercial space, 739 residential units, a greenway, an entertainment complex on that campus, and again, focusing toward a revised town center, which would be the equivalent, if not larger, than Silo Square for Olive Branch. I'm happy to report Governor Reeves is coming up for that groundbreaking as well this Wednesday, and we've got a full agenda and just have high expectations for that opportunity. Also, you mentioned Starbucks. The Board of Aldermen at the last board meeting approved a 6-lot commercial subdivision across from the park and across from Starbucks. The final plat has still not been submitted for that, but it looks like it's going to be commercial buildings and parking. And the good part about that, for transits, for us making our way through the city, is that a new right turn lane will be added to Old Goodman Road to where traffic can flow without stopping at the light to go eastbound on Highway 302. And we also have had permits issued by the city for cleaning and filling of dirt at the northeast corner of Church and Craft Road.
Yes.
There's been a lot of dirt brought into that area. I'm just going to guess hundreds of loads of dirt. We're still waiting on the final submittal for that, but we feel like that's going to be some retail, probably a commercial, a C-store, probably another convenience store, but also some retail space as well. We think it's going to be similar to the development at Church and Pleasant Hill Road that currently exists today.
I saw, before you move on Facebook, one of our Facebook friends posted about a week ago, said to all of his saying, can you guess how many loads of dirt have been added at that? He said, I think 794. What do you think? And I don't know what the final is or was, or if he even knows. But yeah, when you see activity like that, it certainly generates interest.
It certainly does, and I've had dozens of people ask me, well, what are they building there?
Yeah.
And as you know, as previous mayor, then a land developer can move dirt all day long.
Yep.
They can design their lot, et cetera, and but they still come before the Board of Aldermen for a final
Right.
plat, and that's what we're waiting on at this point. But we're hoping it'll be something that will be an add to the local area, to the community, and not take from it. Just a little bit further north up Craft Road, beyond Church Road, is another master development plan, which is planned to be 5 million square footage of warehousing, distribution space, as well as houses in that area. So things are certainly on the grow in Olive Branch, and that's another positive thing. Provisions have been made to ensure that truck traffic will not be allowed to enter Craft Road. Truck traffic will have to go back to the east, where you see the bridge that's been built between Church Road and the industrial park off of Sandage Road.
Right.
So we'll focus getting truck traffic out through there and not impede motorists as they travel their route. We also have Jack's Family Restaurant, a smaller development, but
Yeah.
Jack's Family Restaurant's under construction just north of the Waffle House on Hacks Cross Road. And a final plat was recorded earlier this month for a 19 lot phase of Robinson Crossing. That's under review. And Robinson Crossing is, as you know, Church Road, Malone Road area. The first 40 lots are being wrapped up at the neighborhood of Bell Point. But these other lots, 19 more lots are going into play there as well. That subdivision will include a pedestrian trail along the Malone Road extension, so looking toward that. And just development is just really strong in Olive Branch. We have South Branch, which consists of 77 lots that's being developed, as well as the preserve at Cedar Bluff, which is 29 lots. So a lot going on, a lot of single-family housing development taking place, and even with this strange economy that we're living in, there's a lot of development going on, and things are alive and well in Olive Branch.
Yeah. You, during the campaign process, you talked a lot about beautification. I think you talked about paving roads, and obviously that is going to happen and certainly was much needed. What would your message be to the citizens of Olive Branch about maybe what they can do to keep Olive Branch looking nice?
You bet. Well, one of the basic rule is we want to do all we can to address litter. It's strange that adults have to pick up after other adults sometimes, but and I don't like that, but that's pretty much every city USA that's taking place. But we want our litter control, and even simple things like when I roll my garbage can down to the street, make sure the lid's closed, especially on windy days and rainy days. The same thing with my recycle bucket or bin, to make sure that I've got something maybe heavy on the top to where newspapers and other items don't blow out in the street, so that's important. I'm approaching the board, the next board meeting for a proclamation for the city to deal with litter. We want a zero tolerance by our law enforcement professionals. If it's a napkin thrown out the window, we need enforcement. If it's a garbage truck that doesn't have the rollback in place and they're driving down the road and litter's flying everywhere, one of the most terrible things to see as far as litter and blight, we want them ticketed and we want them stopped and make sure that rollback is taking place. But just little ways, small ways to, even beautifying your own section of the street close to where you live. Those things have an added value and make neighborhoods a lot nicer. I sent the newsletter that went out by way of the city, talked again about some of the committees that I'm forming, and I'm getting some good feedback as far as people that would like to serve on the Beautification Committee, and we're going to start meeting probably every other month once that committee is selected, and we'll start with a blank canvas just to hear from the citizens what they want to see to deal with blight, litter, and beautification of whether it's adding flowers, plants, etc. in common areas. So we're going to ask the citizens to tell us what they want to see, because we think that's the best ran cities are ran with large citizen involvement. So looking forward to that. And any citizens viewing this that would like to be added for consideration in one of those committees, please reach me, contact me, and or my assistant Samantha Brock, and we'll certainly get them added to one of those committees.
One thing that, and I'm glad you mentioned, because I'd always said if everybody would just take care of what's in front of their house, we'd look a whole lot nicer. And one other idea I had over the years was, right now we have, 45,000 citizens in Olive Branch, and if you take half of those down to 22,000, if 22,000 people just picked up one piece of paper every day, it wouldn't take but just several days, and you'd see a dramatic improvement in the way things look. So, government can help, of course, with enforcement and those ideas, but citizens, I think, need to get involved on a personal level, too. That's my personal opinion for today.
That's right. I agree, Sam.
yeah.
And we're also using our court system, municipal court, for defendants who cannot pay their fines. We're using those defendants to pick up litter. And the Parks and Recs employees, we're using them to pick up litter as well as Public Works. So that's very positive, and we just want to do all we can to address it because we want our city to look good, without a doubt, when people come in. So I think that we need to make a strong push for that, and we want it looking as good as it can.
Right.
It's not always just litter. We are contemplating for lack of better words, a home or house maintenance ordinance.
Right.
A lot of people call me and they talk about, well, I want something to control rental houses.
Yeah.
Well, rental houses need controlling, but my house needs controlling, and if it's blight, then we need that for all the houses. And sometimes a renter may keep their house as neat or neater than any homeowner. But long story short, we're looking at a possible ordinance to where our city can get involved in making sure that blight of all homes is taken care of and not just rental homes. And that's something that any community, as it ages and as people move in and out, some houses become rental houses, some don't. But at the same time, we want an ordinance that we can look at uniformly across the board to deal with any house issues that impact the quality of a neighborhood.
Right, yeah. Anything going on with Highway 305? We talked about widening Germantown Road, I think, for about 15 years before it ever happened. Of course, it had to be taken into the state highway system before they would spend the dollars, but I know there have been long-range plans to continue the widening of 305 south, probably all the way to Interstate 269. Will we see anything along those lines anytime soon?
I would like to say, Sam, that we would see it quickly, but it's certainly not quick enough for me and all of our citizens. We've met with MDOT. We met with Senator Hyde Smith as well about that. Our side of the county obviously has 305 as a concern.
Right.
The west side of the county has Highway 51 as a concern, and also trying to get additional lane on Interstate 55 from Hernanda to the state line. So we've made those requests. We're looking at those. The state has not started acquiring property rights down Highway 305. So until we see that happen, I don't have a lot of high hopes. I have high hopes that we will see a traffic signal at 305 and Bethel Road, which is desperately needed. There's been some accidents there that are terrible. And as much as I want to just reach out and do it, as you know, as a mayor, the city has no control over the state highways, whether it's 305 or 302 or Highway 78/22 on the federal side. So we're looking at better ways to deal with that. The mayors in DeSoto County are looking at an interstate compact where we partner with the mayors in Tennessee and in Arkansas as well. And we've had a couple of meetings to where we want to collectively send a message to the representative to Congress in D.C. that we're united on roads and infrastructure, and ask for their consideration to deal with some of these roads, even above and beyond the state level, to deal with these highways and interstates that may get us some relief. But never as quick as I want it to be, as citizens want it to be, but we are pushing for those items as well. Shelby County tells me that widening of Hacks Cross Road between State Line Road and Holmes Road is somewhere on the agenda in the 2023 to 2025 time frame. So at least to hear it's on the agenda is a plus, because as we know, that bottlenecks through there, and that we definitely need that widened as well. We're working to acquire right-of-way rights for Davidson Road and State Line Road so the signal can take place there, because that's been needed for years. So I'm pleased that that's taking place. Also, the Fox Run subdivision, we know we've had historically some flooding there. We are acquiring easements for a regional detention pond north of the area that's flooded, because there's several houses that have flooded over the years, and certainly heartbreaking to run into those citizens who have had home damage and citizens that are on their own paying for flood insurance, although they're not in a flood area, they're not in the flood zone, but they're paying for it because every 7 or 8 years water backs up and damages their home. And talk to those people at length when I was campaigning, and we've got to get something done there. We're acquiring the easements for that detention pond, which is very positive. Maywood gas and water line replacements, that's an active project that's taking place. Again, that's some of the older infrastructure that's been in our city a while. The Woodland Lake drainage project in Maywood is coming to fruition. So the city, we don't maintain the lake because the lake is privately owned, but we are working on getting the Woodland Bridge back open. So monies have been allocated from actually the state senate for that to get Woodland Bridge back open. So we're pleased with that. We're working with MDOT to make high-intensity lighting at the interchanges of Craft Road and 78 and Bethel and 78 to light up those areas because there is a lot of traffic there. Pleasant Hill Road widening between Church Road and Nail Road has been approved. So we're getting some dollars for that that's been allocated by way of a grant. So that's the design work is going to take place in the next month to see what that looks like. But to go to 4 lanes from again, Church Road to Nail Road on Pleasant Hill, because that is a high traffic area. We've got the bids in, and we're in the process of approving a contract for a high pressure gas line on Craft Road to the Lewisburg area. I know I saw back before, while I was campaigning for mayor, I saw a lot of citizens that had low gas volume during the winter months. Maybe their gas logs were not running, they would cut off, et cetera, and that's frustrating. I've had that myself. So we have an approved project to put a 6-inch gas line down through Craft Road to serve that area and the Lewisburg area. So that's very positive for us. Street lighting, water and sewer in the annexation area is being worked on. So again, a lot of active projects and a lot of very busy people within the city making these things happen.
Things are happening, it appears, out at the Olive Branch Airport, too. I read recently about a new 24-hour self-fueling station there. Can you tell us anything about that or your plans with the airport?
The airport, which you and I know is a jewel in our crown.
Yeah.
Not many cities are able to boast. They have their own airport, and Olive Branch Airport and Olive Branch Aviation, which is our aviation or our corporate jet center at Olive Branch Airport. Things are on the move. That $238,000 grant from MDOT, again, who handles things other than just roadways. They handle airfields, they handle river traffic, intermodal. So this 24/7 service operation would be almost like you and I pulling up at a convenience station to fuel our car. In the aviation community, we're probably a little bit behind on that. That's something that's been taking place for years, but it keeps us from having to staff the airport at night. It keeps us from having to staff fuelers even during the daytime, so a person can pull up and buy aviation fuel with their credit card, just like you and I might at a convenience store, buy gasoline for our car. They fuel their plane, they swipe their credit card, pay for it, and then they're off again to wherever their destination is. So we think that's going to be an add. I know our pilots are going to like it. They don't have to wait on a fueler. They don't have to really interface with anybody. They can fuel at their own speed. And there are sometimes evenings and weekends to where we don't always staff the airport, and that allows pilots to come in, buy fuel, and exit from there. So we think that's very positive as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of positive things, it appears, going on at Olive Branch. Growth is still happening. Lots of good things going on. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the citizens of Olive Branch before we sign off today?
You bet. I just thank the citizens for their support. Citizens love our police. They love our fire. They love our EMS. Public Works, they love it when they see them come out and make repairs and fix things. So we appreciate that. We've got hard-working employees, and their goal is to deliver the best services they can for the citizens. Right. And we certainly thank the citizens for their support. We're not a perfect organization, but we're going to continue to work hard and strive to serve the citizens. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity to do that. And I like to hear from the citizens, obviously by email, telephone. So reach out and let us know how we can better serve you as the City of Olive Branch.
Okay. Well, thanks for watching, folks. I'm Sam Rikard with DeSotoCountyNewsroom.com, along with Mayor Ken Adams with the City of Olive Branch. This has been the first episode of Mayor to Mayor. Thanks for joining in.